Hello, everyone, and welcome. Bonjour et bienvenue. I want to acknowledge that I'm joining you from Waterloo, Ontario, from the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral people. Thank you for joining us today. Merci d'avoir pris le temps de vous joindre à nous aujourd'hui. My name is Bardish Chagger. I am the Member of Parliament for the riding of Waterloo and the Minister of Diversity and Inclusion and Youth, and it is my pleasure to serve as MC for this announcement. I also bring greetings from colleagues Raj Saini, Member of Parliament for Kitchener Centre, Tim Lewis, Member of Parliament for Kitchener-Conestoga, as well as Brian May, Member of Parliament for Cambridge. I would just like to let the media here today know that the speakers will be available for Q&A session following the speaking portion of the announcement. The need for safe and affordable housing is high. Every day I see firsthand our region's housing challenges. I've had the opportunity to speak with many constituents who tell me that their top concern is housing affordability. They tell me that having a place to call home that they can afford makes all the difference in their ability to raise their family, plan for the future, and live in dignity. Major municipalities across our country, including right here in the region of Waterloo, are dealing with the devastating impacts of rising levels of homelessness and housing need. The COVID-19 pandemic has only worsened this challenge. This is why I'm glad to be here today for this announcement that will help address housing needs by creating more housing for those who need it most in our region. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague and our first speaker today, the Honourable Ahmed Hussen, Minister of Families and Social Development and Minister responsible for Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Minister Hussen was first elected in 2015 to represent the riding of York South-Weston. In 2017, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau appointed Minister Hussen to the role of Minister of Immigration, making him the first Somali Canadian to hold a cabinet position. Minister Hussen is the first Somali Canadian to be elected Member of Parliament, as well as to hold role and responsibility at the cabinet table. He is no stranger to speaking up for the most underrepresented and underserved in our communities. He has been doing it his whole life. So it's truly an honor and a privilege to have him here virtually in the Waterloo region. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Minister Ahmed Hussen.
Thank you so much, Minister Chagger, for that kind and warm introduction. I'm joining you today from Ottawa, from the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe peoples. And it is obviously a pleasure to be with you alongside Regional Chair Redman, with the region of Waterloo, as well as Mayor Vrbanovic of the city of Kitchener, and Elizabeth Clarke of the YW Kitchener-Waterloo. And I know that we're all excited to be here today for this announcement, et c'est parce que nous savons que chaque Canadien mérite un chez-soi sûr et abordable. Mais beaucoup trop d'entre eux doivent faire un choix impossible entre payer leur loyer et nourrir leur famille. And that's because we know that every Canadian deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. But far too many Canadians are forced to make the choice between paying the rent and paying for groceries. And we know that our cities are on the front lines of the COVID-19 pandemic. And while the pandemic has been experienced by everyone, we also know that it has been experienced more disproportionately by the most vulnerable in our communities. And this pandemic has also underscored and worsened housing challenges. The reality is that populations that are most at risk are more likely to find themselves in precarious housing situations, such as women and children fleeing domestic violence, seniors and racialized groups, including Black Canadians and Indigenous peoples in our communities, for example. With the second wave of this pandemic underway, we need more affordable housing, and we need it now. And that is simply why we are here today. Our government, the Government of Canada, is providing nearly $8.2 million in funding to the region of Waterloo through our new Rapid Housing Initiative. As intended, under the Rapid Housing Initiative, the region of Waterloo will focus on creating housing for Canadians in severe housing needs, including those who are in low income and women who are experiencing homelessness. This funding will be used to build modular housing. It will be used to build or convert existing buildings into affordable housing. It will be used to buy land to build affordable housing quickly. And I'm excited to announce that the region of Waterloo will use this funding to build 42 new affordable modular homes in the region. Congratulations. At the same time, this work will, of course, stimulate the local economy, creating well-paying jobs when they are needed the most. This $1 billion rapid housing initiative will create up to 3,000 affordable housing units rapidly right across our country. And it is being delivered under the National Housing Strategy, our government's $55 billion 10-year plan to make sure that each and every Canadian has a safe and affordable place to call home. But let me take you back early during the pandemic. We recognized and we heard from leaders in the community that the government of Canada needed to step up to help them to create rapid housing innovative solutions to house people who are temporarily displaced because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We heard you individually, we heard you through the Big Mayors Conference, we heard you through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and your feedback and your policy ideas to us and the conversations that we've had are exactly what has resulted in the Rapid Housing Initiative. So kudos to you for championing your community's needs with respect to housing, and particularly paying special attention during this time of COVID-19 to the most vulnerable in your communities. Today's announcement is under the major cities stream, a $500 million allocation that is going to the 15 municipalities that have the highest concentrations of Canadians experiencing homelessness. At the same time, we're continuing to accept applications under the second envelope of this program called the Project Stream, a $500 million envelope, which is meant to provide funding to rapid housing proposals submitted by nonprofit organizations, other municipalities, provinces, Indigenous governments, and organizations. So this will support specific projects that I mentioned, including the building of modular housing or the conversion of existing non-residential buildings into housing. Chair Redman and the team in the region of Waterloo have been doing a wonderful job in trying to make housing more affordable for Canadians, as has the city of Kitchener. We look forward to working together to make sure that our government's national housing strategy continues to work for you. And I want to pay a special tribute here to Member of Parliament and Cabinet colleague Minister Chagger. She has been incredible in terms of being a strong voice for the region of Waterloo. I worked very closely with her when it came to making sure that we continue to attract the best and the brightest to Waterloo in my time as the immigration minister. And now in my role as the minister responsible for housing, we've been working very, very closely to learn about the needs of the region, to work together to make sure that the national housing strategy is working for the region of Waterloo. So I must say that she's a very strong voice for the community, and I found her to be incredibly helpful to me as I have understood the local needs of the region of Waterloo. The work continues here, ladies and gentlemen. I look forward to the strong collaboration between the Government of Canada and the region of Waterloo, including the city of Kitchener. We want to make sure that every Canadian in your community has access to a safe and affordable place to call home. So whether it is through the Rapid Housing Initiative or through the Rental Construction Financing Initiative, which got an additional $12 billion in financing through the Fall Economic Statement, or through the National Housing Co-Investment Fund, we'll continue to make sure that your region and your communities are addressed, your needs are addressed, that the national housing strategy continues to work for you. And the way to do that is to continue the collaboration, the partnership, and the strong relationship between us across all different orders of government. So thank you for everything that you do, and thank you for working together to make sure that each and every Canadian has a safe and affordable place to call home. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Minister Hussen, for those great words. And also just recognizing that you have a partner right here in the region of Waterloo. And I've always admired your ability to recognize and listen to the voice always represented. They might not be the loudest voices, but every single Canadian, just like you say, deserves a safe and affordable place to call home. And that's why the National Housing Strategy is such an policy for our government and our country. And in the Waterloo region, we've had numerous super housing heroes that have helped to actually shape that policy. And I really want to thank you for always keeping an open door, listening to our needs and helping to be part of the solution. As much as the world needs more Canada, Canada needs more Waterloo region. So we will always be here to work with you. And I think somebody who would echo that sentiment is who I will now pass the screen over to. So over to you, Chair Redman. Karen Redman is the chair of the region of Waterloo and an amazing advocate for all citizens right here.
Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. What a feel-good day this is. I want to take this opportunity to recognize the Honourable Ahmed Hussen, Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, and our very own Minister Chagger for hosting this virtual event. A warm welcome to my colleagues and council members of the region of Waterloo, as well as the City of Kitchener Council. As the Service System Manager for Housing and Homelessness in the region of Waterloo, together with area municipalities, housing providers, and the development community, we're working to come up with new and innovative strategies to achieve homes for all, and with today's announcement, we're one step closer to that goal. With the support of the Government of Canada through the Rapid Housing Initiative, the region of Waterloo will receive $8.2 million. This funding will allow us to build 42 new housing units by the end of 2021. The RHI funding announced today will go to 2 projects across our region. More than $6.7 million will go towards a project at 1470 Block Line Road on a land provided by the City of Kitchener. And we're excited to have Mayor Vrbanovic and his council here with us as a partner. At this site, the YW of Kitchener-Waterloo will build 36 modular units for women who are homeless or at risk of being homeless. This project is urgently needed. Right now, dozens of women, including victims of domestic violence and human trafficking, are waiting for a permanent home. The additional $1.3 million will support the development of 6 modular affordable units at 127-161 Bechtel Street in Cambridge. This is on existing Region of Waterloo housing property. The community housing is owned and operated by the Region of Waterloo. The additional units will be open for applicants on a housing waiting list. We're in the process of engaging the Bechtel community in the design of the units and in the green space. Both Bechtel and Blockline projects promote the development of vibrant, affordable neighborhoods that are innovative and environmentally friendly. And Minister, these projects closely align with the Region of Waterloo's 10-year housing and homeless plan to expand support to low and moderate income households by helping them to get and maintain housing. But the region has also submitted an additional 8 projects for the consideration under the Rapid Housing Initiative major project stream. So we are listening, Minister. If approved, these projects will be in partnership with an additional 7 nonprofit agencies and include a total of 176 units of affordable or transitional housing with continued focus on Indigenous residents, people with disabilities, women fleeing violence, and families. We know that when everyone has a place to call home, communities thrive. It is so important that our community members have a safe place to live where they feel comfortable and where they feel they belong. With the support from the Government of Canada, we are able to provide many more homes to people in our community with a history of homelessness and to those who are vulnerable and living on low incomes. Through our combined efforts and strategic planning, we will continue to work together to end chronic homelessness across Waterloo region because our community thrives when we all work together. Thank you for this great announcement.
Thank you so much, Chair Redman. I will just say also on behalf of colleagues Raj Saini, Brian May, and Tim Lewis, we have really appreciated the approach of the region of Waterloo in working with the federal government, just with the sharing of information and having constructive conversations to ensure that we are not only reactive but responsive to the needs of our citizens right here in the Waterloo region. And as we build back even better and consciously more inclusive, there has never been a greater need for new and innovative solutions, exactly what you are doing right here in the region of Waterloo. And I really do commend the program because it actually allows us to respond to the diversity of needs within our community. So I really do want to also just thank Minister Hussen for recognizing that it's not a one-size-fits-all model, but actually empowering and enabling the region to be able to put forward projects that will help the unique needs of our region, just like every community across the country will be able to do. And now I have the honor and privilege to passing the screen over to our next Mayor Barry Vrbanovic. He is the Mayor of Kitchener, whose support has been crucial in getting this funding out the door. Over to you, Mayor Barry.
Thank you very much, Minister Chagger, and thank you to everyone attending this afternoon's important announcement. Good afternoon, everyone. And before I begin, I would like to acknowledge my colleagues from Kitchener Council who are participating today. Councillors Scott Davey, Dave Schneider, John Gazzola, Christine Michaud, Kelly Galloway, Seelock, Paul Singh, Bill Leonidas, Mark Johnson, Debbie Chapman, and Sarah Marsh. And also our staff team, our CAO, Dan Chapman, our GM of Development Services, Justin Redman, and Karen Cooper and Andrew Ramsarup. And I mention them in particularly because they're the staff who have led the creation of our new housing strategy, which Council just approved on Monday evening. Minister Hussen, thank you so much for joining us and for making this wonderful announcement. I know that as we sat around the Big City Mayor's caucus table and you visited us on several occasions, you always listened attentively and all along have really wanted to work with Canada's cities and communities to deliver on housing for all of our citizens. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining us. I'd also be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Minister Chagger, Bardish, as we all affectionately call her locally, as well as our local MPs, Raj Saini and Tim Lewis, who to touch on Kitchener. The three of you as government MPs have been outstanding in terms of your support for our community. From the beginning of this pandemic, you've made yourselves available. You've met with us regularly. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank you, not just for this, but for everything, including the Safe Restart funding, which was so important to communities like us. Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has been challenging for so many people in every community, including Kitchener and Waterloo region, and it has highlighted many inequities, particularly for those who are most vulnerable in our community. It has emphasized the need for everyone to have a home, where they can not only help limit the spread of the virus, but also have a safe place to stay. The City of Kitchener is committed to housing as a human right. On Monday, Kitchener Council approved our new Housing for All strategy, which is Kitchener's first housing strategy. We also recently approved our Make It Kitchener 2.0, Make It Kitchener 2.0 economic development strategy, which includes making land and or dollars available for housing affordability. With over 6,000 people on the waiting list for affordable housing and at least 400 people without housing in Kitchener, both strategies intend to address the great housing needs in our community. But we know we can't do this alone. It will take all levels of government and other organizations to work together if we want to end homelessness and have affordable housing. On behalf of Kitchener Council and the City of Kitchener, we are happy and appreciative to work collaboratively on this rapid housing initiative with the Government of Canada and CMHC, the Region of Waterloo, and the YW to build this much-needed supportive housing for women in our community. I would also like to specifically thank the federal government and the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation for both this historic funding and for working quickly and in non-traditional manners to expedite this rapid housing initiative as part of Canada's first national housing strategy. For our part, we are very proud that these new units are being built in Kitchener, and we're happy to contribute with the value of the land at $2.57 million towards this initiative. Today's announcement is our first investment coming out of both our Housing for All and our Make It Kitchener 2.0 strategies. And I can't think of a better project than this project for 36 units for women, one of the segments of society that we know have been most impacted by the pandemic. Decades ago, our community led in the creation of Kitchener Housing, and I'm happy to see us continue to lead and work collaboratively with our partners at the region and in the other municipalities in Waterloo region to address housing needs for our communities in the future. We know that the city of Kitchener and the region of Waterloo are a great place to live, and this neighborhood is a great place to live and will be a great location for supportive housing, as it also has a nearby branch of the Kitchener Public Library, a community center, an arena, and is accessible to transit. Going forward, we will work hard to make sure that by this time next year, women will be moving into their new homes. With that, I want to welcome Elizabeth and the YW to the neighborhood and say we look forward to partnering together on this exciting project for our community. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Mayor Barry. It's true. COVID-19, this pandemic has impacted the entire world, all Canadians, and disproportionately certain segments. And I really appreciated your time to really talk about partnerships and the team. We are all working really closely together to ensure that everyone has a safe and affordable place to call home. And I can tell you we appreciate the appreciation of the role that the federal government has to play. I can assure you, under the leadership of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Minister Hussen, you will always have a partner in the federal government. So thank you for the important work you and your team do, and thank you for being a partner. I now have the honor and privilege of passing things over to our final speaker, Elizabeth Clarke, CEO of YW Kitchener-Waterloo. Elizabeth and the team at YW are one of the housing providers that will receive funding through the Rapid Housing Initiative's Major City Stream. Over to you.
Thanks, Bardish, and thank you to everybody. Others have talked about the project, so I won't repeat that, but I do want to talk a little bit about what our experience has been. We are a long-term provider of emergency and supportive and affordable housing for women and families, and we've known that we wanted to do more in this area. So since 2018, our board has been planning to build additional supportive housing for women. We thought that this was something that was going to take us several years to accomplish. Then back in September, when we heard the federal announcement of the Rapid Housing Initiative, we thought, oh, that would be amazing, but we don't have land yet. We were starting our search for land, but we hadn't been able to identify anything that was going to be affordable for us and that was going to be, appropriate for the women that we wanted to house. And then the city stepped forward, and after that, it's been like magic, but I don't want to sound like it's been easy. In order to compress what we thought was 4 or 5 years of work into about 12 months of work, everybody involved has been working around the clock. The city staff, the regional staff, and even the CMHC staff that we've been working with have been working weekends and evenings, and it's just been a huge effort, but it's going to be worth it because, as Mayor Vrbanovic said, a year from now, 36 women who are now living in our shelter or living on the street are going to have a home of their own with supports to help them maintain it. So we're extremely excited. We're extremely grateful for everyone's role in this, and we certainly couldn't have done it alone. So thank you.
Elizabeth, thank you for those really important and valuable comments. Just so you know that the work that you and your team do does not go unnoticed. This pandemic has been very challenging, and you have been there pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and just know that you have a partner in the federal government to be with you throughout this journey and post-pandemic. And I do know that by working together, we will get through this. Teamwork truly does make the dream work. So the dreams that you have been envisioning, yes, it will be hard and tough to get it through the period of time, but it's essential that we have affordable and safe housing. And if that means making sure that we have a program that is going to ensure it's done rapidly, we're all for it. And I think we're all going to double down to make sure that we are successful in this endeavor so that people have a safer and a more affordable place to call home. And so now I'd just like to thank everyone for being here and would like to invite any questions from members of the media.
There are no questions on the phone at this time.
So I would just say, please know that we are available to you should you have any comments or questions. I really do want to commend all the speakers for actually providing the information that's necessary for people to understand what the project entails. And also, you know, for Chair Redman talking about the next stream, the project stream, and the fact that the region of Waterloo, we have put in our requests and we really hope to hear some favorable outcomes. So Minister Hussen, if you need any more information from us, you let us know and we will make sure that you have it as quickly as possible. Within the region of Waterloo, we have 3 amazing cities and 4 townships. So just know that the need is high and we are going to work with you to ensure that the national housing strategy is successful and that everyone has a safe and affordable place to call home. So I would also now ask for every speaker, if you can just stop and smile for the camera. We'd like to take a screenshot of today's announcement. And that concludes today's announcements. Thank you everyone for coming. Keep well, keep safe. Merci à tous et à la prochaine.
It's hard not to smile